Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Running the Bases. I'm your host, Michael Garaffa, alongside Ryan Blank. He's over there. Just me and Ryan today.
Very awkwardly.
Yes, well, that's fine. Me and Ryan are alone today because Nick couldn't make it and Marco's doing his own podcast right now. I'm sorry for the weird timing. I haven't really had any time to do a podcast this week. So this is the only time.
The two best are here.
Yeah, well, we're not going to pick favorites. Okay, well, to be fair, Nick was the most consistent, so I give him a pass for that. So we are excited to be here today. But before we do this, we've got a really exciting news for the future of the podcast that I didn't even tell these guys. They don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
It wouldn't be these guys. It would be this guy.
Well, this guy and the other two that are not here right now don't know about it. But in the off season, I know I'm jumping the gun, talking about the off season already. But once the off season comes for this podcast, we're going to do a little bit of different stuff this year. Instead of just covering free agent signings and stuff like that, we're going to actually do fun things like little rosters and other things that we can do that we made. For an example, this morning I was thinking about players that left the Mets to play for another team that Mets fans still loved after they left. For example, Wilmer Flores, Tom Seaver, guys like that. And we will make rosters for things like that, and then we'll display them.
Mike Moustakas for the Royals, yeah.
Right, exactly. And we'll go position by position.
Some all-time lineups. I like
that.
Right,
exactly. So that gives us an opportunity to talk about stuff, get to know our teams a little bit better, get to know the fan bases a little bit better. And obviously, that's not going to be able to happen right away. My plan is once the postseason's over, first podcast after the postseason. Obviously, this is far away, but we'll do World Series recap. Then the week after, we're going to do an award prediction show. And then the week after that, what I want to do, I have an idea for our award show this year. I'm going to have all four of us propose players for the awards, and we're going to have our own award ceremony, where we are all four of us going to pick one player, a different player for each category for the main ones, and we're going to have a little award show. That's going to be pretty fun too. And then we're going to get into those.
Yes. Should we dress up in suits and actually record this one?
I mean, we could. We can make that a special. We could do that and make it a long one, but the podcast will be where we announce.
Hey, if it's hard to do, I'll just wear a nice blazer with a button down and a tie, and then just shorts because they only see the top up.
Right, exactly. So that's a good idea. I like that. But yeah, we've got a lot planned, obviously, for this year. It's going to be a really cool year. A lot of things are going to be going on. Baseball, I mean, if you think about it, baseball, we're only 2 months away from baseball really being almost over, which is crazy because the season just started. But
I wouldn't say it's as crazy as it is sad for me because it just started. I'm loving it, and I just hate that we're so far in for a regular season. Yeah. But yet we're just getting started, so it kind of sucks.
There was a number yesterday that said that the Marlins are leading the division the latest in the season that they ever have. They have never led their division in a season past like July 21st ever in their franchise history. And right now they sit at 5-1, leading that National League East, obviously not including tonight. We're going to have some adjusting things going throughout the night. So this is all the stuff that happened up until last night. We're going to talk about some of the news, and we're going to go into our top moments of the week, something different that we're doing from now on. I felt like it was a little bit different to have the top moment of the day because that was things I can promote. So what we're going to be doing now is having top moments of the week where every member of the podcast that is there will have a moment that they want to discuss that took place over the last week that they thought was really cool. We'll obviously get to that after the news and then a bunch of other stuff. We're expecting this to be a little bit of a quicker show today, so thank you if you're going to come on and watch. We're expecting a nice fun night. Obviously it's the middle of baseball. I hate to be interrupting the games for some people, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the night look.
I know.
I like the night look.
It's fun. I mean, this gets back to our roots when we would do the podcast. Well, not when we were on Blaze, but sometimes we did. There was a one time you and I did the podcast. It was like 6 o'clock at night. Yeah. So it brings us back to our roots.
You don't realize what time it is for me right now, do you? It's 9:30.
Well, yeah, I know. For you,
so I kind of like this though.
It's fun. I mean, it's not pitch black out for me, but it's still working. But yeah, so we'll get into the news. Obviously, it's kind of disappointing because I had expected Marco and Nick to be able to talk about some of these things and to focus on them. But now we're going to have to just provide commentary for it. The very first thing here, the reason why I brought that up is Joe Kelly getting suspended for 8 games. This happened like right after the podcast last week. We discussed Joe Kelly throwing at the Astros on the podcast last week, got suspended, I believe, the afternoon of. I actually think it was like 2 hours after we recorded the show. So that was just hot off press. Like, boom, we're running it. And Joe Kelly suspended for 8 games. And I saw the equivalent that in I believe in a 162 game season.
162 game season, that's 22 games.
Yeah, it was a 20. It would be a 22 game.
Yeah, and I took it a step further. That's 13% of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, that is
ridiculous.
That is the longest. I don't know, not like necessarily, but that I believe is probably one of the longest suspensions ever for a non-PED suspension, which is crazy. It might very well be. I mean, that's just we don't see people getting suspended for 8 games in 162, let alone in a 60 game. But Rob Manfred obviously really trying to get his point across here. Like we already did what we had to with the Astros, so leave it to us. So I get where he was coming from, but I still think it was a little overkill. Obviously, I wish Marco was here because I know he was heated when this happened. Oh yeah, he was dripping sweat. He was so mad. Yeah, he was fuming. So, I mean, I wish we could have Marco here to talk about it, obviously. But for right now, I just want to hear your perspective on it.
First off, I want to continue to say Joe Kelly's a national hero for this. He really is. But I am getting that shirt that says "nice swing!" expletive. We do not cuss on this show. So, but I think everyone knows what he said. So I'm going to get one of those shirts first off. Second off, I get what Manfred's trying to do. Send a message. You throw at the Astros, you're getting suspended.
Oh, yeah. Very true.
Kelly's appealing it. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 games, maybe 4 at the max. But here's the thing. As much as Manfred is sending a message, that's what Joe Kelly was doing.
Yeah.
You don't know that he was throwing straight off to hit. Go ahead. I'm about to sneeze.
Okay. So my work friend Brent commented saying he never hit anyone. It's 1/6 of a season. That's a no for a relief pitcher. I mean, it's just right. It's right there. First of all, I would be very interested to see if Joe Kelly did this to the Athletics, just a random team, and he just threw at people. I would be so interested to see why that would happen. And Brent brings up a good point. Brent's also, I was going to have him on the podcast last week, couldn't come on. So he's kind of giving his own. I mean, I could always invite him on just to talk.
These comments, because I agree with him.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Manfred is starting to realize after the backlash he got for what he did with the Astros not suspending anyone, that he cannot go back on what he did. So he knows he has to protect the Astros once again.
Yeah, and he knows that if he doesn't, then people are going to question him and say, well, why aren't you punishing everyone else the same that you did for the Astros?
I don't think Kelly deserved anywhere close to 8 games off the bat. I know he's trying to send a message. Kelly was sending a message.
Yeah.
He was sending a message saying, you know what you did. Yet he was not on that Dodgers team in 2017. He was on the Red Sox team that got beat in the ALDS that year.
Yeah, exactly.
Here is everyone hates the Astros. Like Brent just commented, I was actually about to say that. He did what every team wants to do, and what every pitcher thinks about when you're going against the Astros is beaming them because they deserve it. I think it's ridiculous that not even the players got fined.
Yeah.
Manfred is just proving that he is more and more of a joke. And honestly, I'm counting down the days until he is somehow kicked out or just resigns from being commissioner, because he is honestly slowly driving the game into the ground.
And it's very interesting. Obviously, this is really the biggest piece of news that happened in the last week. Like I said, so disappointing that it happened so long ago that we couldn't really talk about it with such emotion that we had. But this was such an impactful move where people were just saying, like, why? No one understood it. Why was he suspended for so long? It's just such a long time for anybody. I mean, for a starting pitcher, 8 games is normal because that's just 2 starts. But for a reliever, that's 8 important games that your team is missing. That's a big loss. And for the Dodgers, Joe Kelly's not their setup man or their closer, but that's still a guy to have out there. He's still a pitcher that you might need that could come in a big spot. And so it's just we won't know how Joe Kelly would have played in this 8-game stretch. He might have only played in one game and pitched terribly. We never know. We won't ever know. So for him to
There's
come
just a
out
bunch of
here,
what ifs at this point.
what'd you say?
There's just a bunch of what ifs with how it went
Yeah.
down.
And like we said before the season, this season is going to be a what if filled season. So this is just kicking us off right away. So then we move on to the next bit of.
You can see pitchers get suspended 8 to 10 games. Like, that's
Right.
not uncommon, but that's only like 2 starts.
Right.
8 games could mean 4 or 5 games pitched for a relief pitcher. And Brent, I am already telling if we met in person, I would really like you because Manfred is a puppet. I completely agree with that.
I think you would. I was going to have him on. I was going to invite him on today, but I didn't want to give him such short notice. But I think it was. I think it's just a big. It's just a big topic of conversation, and it's going to be one that is so discussed heavily throughout the season. But Joe Kelly, the big thing I think everyone's wondering is he wasn't even hit. He didn't even hit the guy, and he got suspended for 8 games. So why? That was a big problem. So if we're good to move on, we're going to move on to MLB holding 7-inning doubleheaders. Now this one was a little weird for me. When I first saw it, I was excited to see that MLB was making an attempt to play the games that they were going to be losing, but it also made me wonder what's going to happen. Those last 2 innings are important. And the thing that everyone was talking about was this is basically a little league game. You're going out there 7 innings. Your starter can pitch a complete game. You could see in these 7-inning games, how many no-hitters, how many perfect games go 7 innings and get shut down in the 9th. That's something that people aren't really considering. This could be a possibility to see amazing things like that. But it also leads to the idea of, is this the future of baseball? With the people thinking, baseball is so long. There are people who won't watch baseball because of how long it is. They get bored. If you do a 7-inning game, does that change things? Maybe it's an hour and 45 minutes, 2-hour long game if they go quick. Will that lead to more people watching the sport, which is going to be a very, very unique experience. And it's going to lead to a super confusing atmosphere. We already had the one game last week. I was going to have Nick talk about it because he was actually a part of it with the doubleheader. His team was the first one, the Tigers. So
the Reds, yeah. But
yeah.
if I'm going to jump in because I'm going to look at what Brent said once again. Or we're playing high school ball or MLB. The MLB's laid out for a reason. This is the top end of where you can get. Don't mess with it. You see how what Manfred has tried to do with time has come back to bite him and hasn't done anything? Leave the game how it's meant to be. You know what? Some people don't have the attention span. The people that do are those who are the diehard fans and who will never let go of the sport. This is ridiculous that he would even think about this. That you think that you could even go to 7 innings. And Christian, I am going to acknowledge you here. And I'm going to say that I love his comment. He said it's high school because that's what it's going to become.
No, that was Brent.
No, Christian also said high school.
Yeah, well, Christian, let's be real here. You don't know Christian. Christian's my best friend. He doesn't know anything about baseball. He makes fun of me for liking baseball all the time. He's just doing this to get attention.
Hey, I'm down for it. So
whatever works.
What it really comes down to is that you can't keep messing with the beauty of baseball, and that's what he keeps trying to do. And it's frustrating as a diehard fan and someone who played baseball all of his life. It's hard to see, and I think it's just going to come back and hurt him.
Yeah, and like Brent just said, this game was not designed to be played fast. It's a game of grinding. It's a game of pitch by pitch. And as we look at baseball, Brent is a coach. I've analyzed the game so much when I'm watching. You watch every single pitch can change the way that you look at the rest of the game. You could look at a game differently just based on one missed curveball. I mean, I noticed it last week when the Mets were playing, and you had Justin Wilson came in to pitch, and I noticed right away on his second pitch that he was off. But the Mets manager, Luis Rojas, didn't notice it until about 3 batters in, and that was the problem. That was the thing that was hard to deal with. We didn't, I was like, man, I don't know how I saw that, but he didn't. But that's because he's so focused on running the game, running it quickly. And now, especially with the 7 inning game, you don't have the time to think about that. You're just going boom, 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 boom. First of all, there's the 7th inning stretch is the bottom of the ninth, basically. So I don't know. It is a weird thing. I think as long as it stays as a double header, I think it's going to be fine. But I think that as long as it is just a double header for this season, then I think we're okay. But that's obviously to be seen.
I think that looking at how people keep complaining about the time of baseball, when you look at it, it's one of the greatest games because of the strategy that goes into it. You see managers go, I want that lefty-righty matchup, whether it's pitcher versus batter. You want certain guys in there. It's a game of strategy, and you can't just hinder that. That's the beauty of baseball, is just the IQ and the mind games and tricks that go through your head, because this is a game that you rely on your IQ. And just by making it shorter, you're hindering how people think. I think that by making it shorter, you're just going to try to drive the game into the ground even more, because there are those diehard fans that are going to get pissed off like me.
Right. And this is the season of so many different things. You've got the 3-batter minimum, where we're already seeing the lack of strategy. We can't have a lefty-lefty matchup just brought in, which obviously is going to shorten games. That was one thing that I'm not really too upset about. We're having, when you're having I remember when Bruce Bochy used to manage, or Dusty Baker, you used to see 3 pitchers in the same inning. You would see a lefty come in to face a lefty, a righty to come in and face a righty, and then another lefty would come up. And it was just all around. I was like, dude, we're wasting 15 minutes on 3 batters because they have to come in and throw their warm-ups, and then let's say they take so long. It is just going to be a mess for the people that are baseball IQ people that focus so hard on the way the game is played and how much attention goes into playing the game of baseball.
Here's the thing, that those type of things I love, because that's just a sector of how beautiful the game of baseball is.
Yeah.
Because you just have to think about it. You have to be methodical with every single move. One of the things that I thought was the best thing about my game was my IQ, because I have a deep IQ for the game.
Right.
That's what each MLB player has and each manager has. You can't hinder that. And I think if you try to do it, it's just the wrong idea. If Manfred wants to become even the most hated commissioner of all time, even though he's probably getting there, do what you're doing right now. And awful. So that's just how it is.
It is going to be very interesting to see how those doubleheaders and all these rule changes play out. Obviously, Brent mentioned the designated hitter rule. We've spoken on that a lot. We'll kind of touch on those things a little bit when all of us are here, kind of like halfway through the season, to see how these rule changes are playing out, how we feel about them. But the next big thing hit me really hard, obviously, really hard at home. That is the New York Mets' left fielder and DH Yoenis Cespedes opting out of the season. This was a massive blow to the entirety of the season at the point that it was happening. The Mets had lost, I believe, 4 straight at the time. They were then sitting 3-6 on that day. They were 3-6, and the Mets had just not been hitting well. Cespedes, out of nowhere, I remember watching the game, and the announcer Gary Cohen said, so we're getting word right now that Yoenis Cespedes didn't show up to the ballpark, didn't tell any Mets players or anyone in the team why, and we have been unsuccessful in our attempts to reach him. And that scared people. I mean, you saw the amount of posts on Instagram and Twitter saying, like, I hope he's okay, I pray he's okay. And boy, how that flipped in an hour. The second Cespedes announced that, everyone was like, nope, I would have rather it been the latter instead of the former, because I would have rather the Mets have said he got into an accident, he is okay, but he just couldn't report to the ballpark, than for him to do this, because this was just him quitting. I mean, this is a guy who said,
I don't know if you could say it's fully quitting, because what I read was that the day before he told the team, I'm opting out. He said it, but there was a miscommunication. So could there have been something on the Mets' part as well, That's what I was told and what I read.
There have been so many conflicting reports, though.
Yeah.
The management and the front office have said that they were not informed, but the players have said that they heard that the front office was informed.
Yeah.
And that led to people saying, well, maybe the front office knew and they purposely did this to embarrass him, to say, let's embarrass the heck out of this guy who is
I don't
just
think that's
quitting
how
on.
it goes. I don't think if I'm sorry, but if any organization is that petty enough, then that's awful. Like that is the true meaning of
Hey,
gonna Met at that
let's be real.
point.
The Mets wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah,
But
that would even surprise me from the Mets. I'm sorry.
it was just so. I mean, Brent will tell you because he was there. I was screaming at work, screaming at the top of my lungs, and people probably thought I was insane. People thought I was insane because I was just yelling, and it was just so terrible. But everyone's saying, I mean, Brent brought up a great point to me saying it's about the money. He saw an opportunity because what if he knows something that other players don't? If the season gets canceled, I guarantee you anyone who opted out after the season started and played a game will get paid their contract. Because let's say you play 5 games in a season and then the season ends and they opt out and they can't get their pay, that's going to be a problem. They're going to want that money. So let's say the season ends. Let's say the season ends next week and Yoenis Cespedes plays in 8 games. I would really love to see if he would still make that money. I would love to look up right now and find that out because I don't know the logistics of that, if that would be the case. Because if that is the case, then there is no question in my mind it is not coronavirus related, that it was related to the fact that he would still be getting paid even though he wouldn't be getting his incentives for his contract and wanted to ensure that he would get something. So I am
think that if Cespedes did that, that is just he's undermining the game, and that just shows that he doesn't truly love the game of baseball. That he's all about money, and this is something that's just made me mad for years now. And it's not just the MLB; it's all over every big sport. It's all about money, and it's really getting on my nerves because you play for the love of the game. That's why you should play, not because of money. Is money a great thing to get once you've performed? Yes. But you're playing because you love the game and you want to be out on that field.
Yeah.
If that is the case, which I think that is a high likelihood, that's awful. And honestly, this may sound harsh. If that's the real reason, I'd probably cut Cespedes for that.
Well, they are. This is the end of his contract, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. But it's just
he's gone anyway.
Yeah, it's just nobody should ever play a sport just for the money.
Yeah,
yeah,
and Yoenis Cespedes has been
like no other today. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You should not look at like, hey, I'm playing this to get my bag. No, you're playing because you love the game, and that's what I hate about so many players who keep saying, "I want this money. I want the big money." Look at Le'Veon Bell in the NFL. He sat out a whole year because he wanted the money, and he got less money than what he was offered. No team wants someone who just wants it for the money, and once they get it, can suck.
Yeah.
You play for the love of the game and because you want to be one of the greats. Not because of the money that you're getting paid. And it's really upsetting me that more and more is like that. And Cespedes, you know what? If there was something with his family that came up or with him personally, I completely understand. But if it is something like this, that is horrible, and it just shows he never really loved the game. He was there for his money.
There's no question in my mind that this was not about the virus. The management and players made it known that he has been committed to play. He has showed no signs of anything. And the key signs for me that this was all about the money was Yoenis Cespedes played more games in 2015 and 16, both contract years, than he did from 2017 through 2020. More games in a 2-game span than he had played in a 4-game span, and didn't play at all in 2018 or 2019. So when he came out to play this year, he said he has been working so hard to come back. I genuinely believe that the only reason he came back to play this season was because he needed to reach those incentives that he was losing on that contract. We
Here's
spoke about it a while ago. It's
here's
just
the
hard.
ridiculous part about this. You can't. It's frustrating because you see guys in every sport. You're on your contract year, you want to get paid, and they
Yep.
go out and have a terrific year.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Chiefs did that last year,
Everywhere.
got paid, and he was awful for the 49ers last year. You keep seeing this. What is it that is making you lose that love of the game? Money should not be the reason you lose your love for any sport. And if it is, then you never truly love the game.
Right.
You see guys who stick with it in the minors into their 30s because they love the game. You see guys like Whit Merrifield, who was in the minors till he was 28 years old, stuck with it, and look where he is now because he loves the game. All these guys, what the whole pandemic showed was when you would see all these guys out there tweeting, I want to be out on that field. I want to be playing with my teammates and with my brothers. That showed their love of the game. You see those guys. And it's just hard to see that passion and love in some of those players is gone because of money. It's frustrating and it's sad to see. And Brent, I love your comment because I completely agree.
That's true. You're in the same boat.
I would give anything to be out on the field playing. I would play through a pandemic. I would risk it. And the reason you see these guys risking it and risking their bodies and their livelihoods is because they love the game, not because of the money. And I think the whole frustrating part, even though the whole pandemic showed how bad players want to play, they were super stubborn about their pay. The PA wanted full prorated salaries. I don't think that is a good message. Yeah. Because you see all these guys who are saying, I play for the love of the game. I love this game. It's not about the money. Once they get that $100 million contract and sign it,
boom,
you become a hypocrite.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I want to be involved in baseball and to even coach alongside with my job in the future is to instill the love of the game in kids.
I agree.
Because you can't do that once you get to the big leagues. You have to do that young. And the one thing that I think that should have happened with Cespedes, when you're injured and have a career-threatening injury, and you're rehabbing, sitting on the bench for months and at home rehabbing, your love of the game should come back because you want to be out on that field. You never saw that with Cespedes, ever.
No, never. He was out riding. He had a wild boar accident on his ranch. I mean, come on. It doesn't happen.
Here's the worst part. I was hurt for 1 week. I had a concussion. Each and every day, I was saying, let me back out there. Let me back there because I want to be out there. I didn't care that I get me. Who cares? I might have CTE. Who cares? I wanted to be out on that field more than anything else. And that's why when you saw Bryce Harper, Whit Merrifield, and all these guys come out there, it just gave me a sense of pride and joy and happiness to see that there are players who are getting paid like Bryce Harper who are still playing for the love of the game. And I think this type of thing, I said it before, the only good thing that might have come from this long hiatus is that players might have found their true love of the game and regained it.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to see. It should have never been gone in the first place because of money. But if you can get it back, that still says something.
Yeah. And we'll end the Cespedes talk with this big quote that Brent mentioned here, saying when Lou Gehrig was asked why he played so hard, he said that because he couldn't risk a kid coming to the ballpark and for the very first time and seeing him slack off. And that is just such an amazing quote. It wraps things up so nicely, really talks a lot about what you were saying. And it's just it's a good thing.
Baseball is one of the most mental, is probably the most mental game. You see it try to destroy so many guys. If you can ride the course, ride the wave, and stick with it, you're going to get there, and your true love is still going to be there.
Yeah, if you have that.
Yeah. Gehrig is one of those guys who is a hero and such an inspiration because of quotes like that. Yeah. Because it was bigger than himself. People in the world today, and it's even outside of sports, people become so greedy and so selfish.
Yeah.
Things are bigger than you. And I think people need this wake-up call to know that not everything is about you. You do things not just for yourselves. There are things that are bigger than you, and you have to realize that. And that's exactly what Garrick is saying, is that it's bigger than me. It's not about me.
It's for the game. So yeah, that's see what Yoenis Cespedes does. Look at what he does. He tears people apart. So we then move on to the last bit of news that happened in the last week. This actually, strangely enough, happened against the Mets. Mike Soroka, current ace of the Atlanta Braves, tore his Achilles in a game against the Mets. I mean, just a heartbreaking loss for him. A guy who was second in the Cy Young voting last year, or might be, yeah, it was second. And then, I don't remember which he was second in. I think it was Rookie of the Year that he was second in. But either way, he was an amazing pitcher last year. Ace of the Braves. Everyone was so excited to see him pitch again this year, and it was such a shame. Came out, and it wasn't even a bad blow. I mean, he just came off the mound, and he must have just popped it on his landing when he planted his foot for his landing, because he had to be carried off the field. It was very, very difficult for him to walk, and he's out for the season. And in a 60-game season, that's a big blow. You know, we don't know how long it would have taken for him to recover in a 162, but it doesn't change the fact that this is a big blow for the Braves, a team that's chasing that division title. Thankfully, though, I don't think this is as impactful in a 60-game season. I don't think look, I can't change my prediction now, but I still think the Braves are going to win the division this year. But I don't think this prevents them from winning the division. I think it prevents them from winning the World Series, because this is a big pitcher in that rotation, and we know how important starting pitchers are in the postseason. And to not have this guy, you can't really fully rely on your offense in a postseason. So that's where I think this is going to come into play, is in the postseason time. I don't think it's going to really hurt them when they go down the stretch.
I think this won't hurt them winning the division.
Yeah.
Because you see, Freddie Freeman has not looked like Freddie Freeman. Acuna has not looked like Acuna.
No.
Neither has Albies. And yet they're still winning games. That shows how strong they are. And getting Markakis back is only going to make them stronger.
Yeah.
So, and here's the one thing about the Braves. He was a rookie last year, Soroka, and he's already their ace.
Yeah.
That good. And it sucks to see him go. Once I saw it, I said, please don't be Achilles. Please don't. And when I saw Achilles, I was like, oh. It was like my jaw just dropped.
It's like when you see a pitcher throw and you see him grab his elbow and you're like, no, it doesn't matter who they are. It's just
you don't not like them because they're not on your team or because they beat you. Like my feelings with Madison Bumgarner from the 14 World Series. But you never want to see a guy go down. You can't. That's the last thing you want to see. But here's the thing.
Especially a guy with that talent.
Yeah. I think people aren't realizing this hurts them not just this year, but next year. An Achilles rupture usually takes at least 10 to 12 months to heal. He's out most of the regular season next year. And who knows how he's going to come back.
Yeah.
Like people
gotta be wary when he pitches.
Like people have that worry with Kevin Durant in the NBA because he is coming off a torn Achilles. Who knows if they're ever going to be the same? But not even that. They're losing their ace for possibly over a year. He might not be even able to pitch at all in 2021. And that just sucks to see because he is a rising star. He's a rising ace. And it just, like, my heart sank to see that because even though he's not on the Royals, I still want to see these young guys come out and play and show what they're made of. And it just sucks to see someone with such potential and talent and passion go down. And I hope a speedy recovery because I want to see him back out on that field as quick as he can to show that he is still one of those guys who can be the ace.
Yeah.
But it sucks to see, and I think it does hurt the Braves in the postseason. Even though their pitching staff has looked a lot better than a lot of people expected this year, still, it's going to hurt them because they don't have their ace.
Yeah. So, like Brent said here, something to keep in mind. He said that he had a compound fracture of his here in his heel, and he was out for over 2 years. That also was his career-ending injury, really. Well, one of his career-ending injuries, and I mean, he still feels it today. So that's one of these things that this might never go away for Mike Soroka. This could be a recurring injury. This could end up being a career-ending injury for Mike Soroka after only pitching one season, which would be devastating. So it's just such a hard thing for him to have this early in his career. It reminds me so much of Zach Wheeler in 2014 when he had to get Tommy John surgery in his rookie year. I mean, he was the future of the Mets franchise. We traded Carlos Beltran for him, and he comes in 2014. He was looking really good, and then he has to get Tommy John surgery. He missed 2015 and 16, the two only good years the Mets had in his career, and he had to miss them both in full. It was so disappointing. He didn't even come back to the middle of
There's one
2017.
guy that just sticks out to me a little bit more than Zach Wheeler. Strasburg. Before Strasburg could hit his stride, 2 Tommy John surgeries and inning counts. Remember, you saw them when they were close to playoffs. They had to shut him down.
Yep.
And you don't want to see that with these young kids and these young talents that can just be the faces of the league in the next few years. So, of course, I want to be recovering. I want him to return to be Mike Soroka and to be that ace and Cy Young candidate for years to come.
Yeah, so that is such a big blow for the Braves, but obviously we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. So we now move on to the top moments of the week. Marco is here in the chat. Oh, that's exciting. Marco's here to say hi. Oh, hi, Marco. We miss you. We miss you. Notice how Nick's not here. I thought Nick was going to have us on while Nick's packing. I think he's coming to Arizona this weekend.
By the way,
what?
Days.
Huh?
8 days and I'm back in AZ.
Oh, that's when you're coming back? I was going to ask you when you were coming back. So it's going to be it's nice to have Marco here. Hi, Marco. We miss you. So top moments of the week. We are in this opportunity now. Again, let me kind of rephrase what this is going to be. This is going to be every single member on the podcast on that day is going to pick a moment that happened in the last week and discuss why they thought it was their top moment of the week. I'll start off, and this is going to be with Aaron Judge homering in 5 straight games with 6 home runs in that span. A monstrous stretch. Don't mind the shirt. I'm a Mets fan. Yes, absolutely. And yes, I just picked a Yankee to have the moment of the week, but I'm a baseball fan too. And if being a journalist, you have to be unbiased. And for me to pick Aaron Judge is a big deal because that was just an awesome moment. I mean, to see Aaron Judge hit 5 home runs, hit home runs in 5 straight games, that doesn't happen. I mean, Daniel Murphy did that in the postseason. That tied an all-time record for home runs in a row in a postseason game. So, I mean, good for Judge, good for the Yankees. They're on a tear right now. This is just a big thing for him. Judge had a disappointing end to the year last year, didn't have the best season ever. He really was disappointed after his monstrous 2018 season. So to see him come out and miss his opportunity last year to be that big player on the team, and then he seemingly he was off to a rough start this year, and then he just took off. And I think that's exactly what the Yankees needed to get them going.
Marco, you're going to like my pick. It's actually going to be what happened last night. Chris Taylor's game-ending outfield assist off the line drive. I believe it was from Tatis to left to Chris Taylor, who threw a terrific at home. Terrific play. It's going to be an underrated play, but that's a big win for the Dodgers, especially because the Padres have been on a roll.
Oh, yeah.
And that kills their momentum, and you're going to see the Dodgers, who are going to keep climbing now because they're not first. It's the Rockies.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to make up ground. Will they make it up? I believe they will. I think everyone thinks so. But when you're looking at it, that's a huge play in winning a big game against a rival in your division. So a great play by Chris Taylor, and I believe that is one of those terrific moments of the week. Another moment would be Mookie Betts' insane throw to get Ketel Marte out at third. That was an insane play as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So many insane things that took place in the last week. Obviously, we are looking for some big time things to happen over the next week or so. We're expecting some really good games, obviously, to take place. This week was a pretty solid one as well. But in the last week, there's been a lot happening for our team overview. We are obviously going to talk about how our team did in the last week and so far in the season, and then a key player in the last week. So I'll start it off with the Mets. This last week has been tough. I'm not going to lie. If you look at the last week of standings, the Mets have had a rough go of it since last Thursday. We did the podcast on Thursday morning. They lost that game, lost in Atlanta 3 games in a row. They actually lost 4 games in a row after the podcast, after having a they were 3-2, then lose 5 games in a row. Very disappointing for them to do that. I mean, it was just such a heartbreaking loss. They won 2 out of their last 3. They now enter a series against the Marlins, a very big series against the Marlins to keep in mind. I mean, they're playing a team that's leading the division right now at 6-1, the best record I think the Marlins have ever had. It's a big series. It's big because the Marlins are only playing. The Marlins have played. I don't remember the first team that they played, but they played the Orioles in their last 3, 4. So it's not like they're playing the Dodgers every game. So I think it'll be interesting to see the Marlins play a team that's got a little bit of pop. But so far this year, the Mets have been just Ryan. So we're gonna just talk about our teams a lot because it's just the two of us. We can really go into it.
I want to interrupt for one thing.
Yes, what?
Brent, I'm down to go to any Dodger game with you. We can have a terrific time.
Making friends.
So I respect that, and I am willing whenever the Dodgers are in Arizona and we can be back at games.
When you come next week, I can have you come and meet him on one of my days off when he's working. I'll have you come and be like, "Hi," and be like, "Oh, look, we made this match happen." But yeah, so for the Mets in this last week, it has been tough. It's been a rough week, a very disappointing start to the season for the Mets. The Mets sit now at 5-8. It's been such a slog. The bullpen has not done it. The starting pitching staff has definitely not done it, other than Jacob deGrom, who is, by the way, going to win his 3rd straight Cy Young this year. It's just been an insane start to the year for deGrom and nobody else. Alonso's not hitting. Jeff McNeil, Robinson Cano, and Ahmed Rosario are all now 3 hurt for a few days. Robinson Cano was the best hitter on the team when he got injured. So there's been a lot going on for the Mets this season. This has been a very, very weird start to the year for the Mets. I'll be honest. I'm still holding out hope. Obviously, at 5-8, you only need to go on a 4 out of 5 stretch to get to 500, which doesn't bother me at all. I mean, once the Mets hit 500 last year, I felt great. So I was really, really happy to see the Mets, pick up some of that steam, especially last night had a big win. But the big player in the last week for me has been the future of this New York Mets team. That's Andres Gimenez. He has been a spark plug for this team. I don't think anyone's really realizing how good Andres Gimenez has been. He is a very sneaky Rookie of the Year threat for the National League right now because in 25 at-bats, he's batting .320, no home runs, 1 RBI, 2 stolen bases with a .746 OPS. I mean, this kid is hitting and he is fielding unbelievably well. I don't know if any of the people watching right now have seen some of the plays that Andres Gimenez has been making, but he has been a wizard in the field. I mean, that is why he has been such a top prospect for the Mets, is because of his glove, and he has come out here and he is dominating with the glove, hitting well with the bat, and right now he has been one of the most exciting things to watch in this season. And the big question going forward, where is Gimenez going to stay once some of these guys come back? He deserves a spot in the lineup over really anyone else right now, in my opinion. It's going to be very, very crazy to see how the rest of the season plays out. But Ryan, I know you've got a lot to talk about for the Royals, so let's see. We'll give you. I'll estimate about 5 minutes for you for your Royals rant. So go on ahead.
I'm just gonna. My frustration has reached an all-time high with the Royals, and I've learned to be very patient with the track record since I've been alive with the Royals. And I think the most frustrating thing for me was the past 5 years, the Royals have been always at the top to be one of the best defenses in the league. Always. Past 3 years, they've led the league in the least amount of errors in a season. They rank dead last this year. 16 errors.
Wow.
14 games.
Wow.
Well, 13 games as of last night.
That's crazy.
I believe they did not have an error tonight. Yeah, they did not have an error. So 16 errors in 14 games.
The Mets only have 6 errors, and 5 of them are from Jeff McNeil. So that's tough.
Well, here's the thing. Last year in 102 games, Alberto Mondesi had 7 errors. He has 4 already. There's only been 2 solid guys on defense. And it's been Whit Merrifield. Wherever you put him, he's going to play solid defense. That's just Whit. And Alex Gordon, who, in my opinion, you may think it's biased, I think he's the best defensive left fielder in the game. At the bare minimum, he's one of the best.
Okay, I'll give you that.
The fact, I'm going to go off on this for 1 second.
Yeah,
this is his 11th year in the outfield. In his first 10 years in the outfield, he's won 7 Gold Gloves. And 2 of those years, he didn't win it because he was injured. Let that sink in. But the defense has been so disappointing. And I think the worst thing that the Royals did this offseason, besides his bat has not been terrible, signing Michael Fong.
I already knew it was coming.
How mad I was at that signing.
Oh, yeah.
You were with me when I saw it. And I was pissed. Yeah, he can hit, and he hit a home run tonight. Good. His defense is intolerable.
Yeah, it always has been.
Yeah, here's the thing. In the NFL, they say defense wins championships. Defense won the Royals the championship in 2015. They played small ball. They played terrific defense. Where's that now? It's gone. You were a victim of it. You get it.
Dirty team.
Was what the Royals were known for. They owned it.
Yeah.
They were the best. Terrific defense. Terrific small ball offense. And yet, look at them now. Dead last in the league. And you know what? I'm going to say it. As much as I was not a fan of Ned Yost, his final seasons with the Royals, this team would not have a 4-10 record with him as manager.
No.
The Royals are better than 4-10. They should not have lost 2 games in Detroit at all. And I said that because they shouldn't have. They had the lead in both those games. It is just so frustrating to see the Royals offense, besides tonight, struggle like this. Completely. The Royals have so much speed. Mondesi, Witt, Nick Heath, who got his first major league hit tonight, so shout out to him. Nicky Lopez, Bubba Starling, Brett Phillips. Get on and bunt them over.
Yeah.
That was the Royals. Steal the damn base. This was the Royals in 2015. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the whole thing. I've been completely surprised with how bad Matheny has been.
That's right. I forgot he's your manager.
He has been so bad taking care of that bullpen and the length of our pitchers' outings.
Mm-hmm.
This series, the Royals had Danny Duffy in the first game on Monday go 6 innings. That was the first time a Royals pitcher went 6 innings this season. Chris Bubich did it last night, second time. And in those 2 outings, the offense gave them 1 run. 1 run of support.
Welcome to Jacob deGrom.
It is, I think that if you're Mike Matheny, you should know coming into this, small ball works. Go back to small ball. And then you'll see some more success. Because guess what? You know you have Soler who can just hit bombs. He's got terrific power. The Royals had that guy who could do that with Hosmer or Morales. Keep him there.
Yeah.
Go with small ball with what works. I also hate how he keeps putting Soler at second in the lineup. It rubs me the wrong way.
Why is he batting second?
Do you know where he should be?
4th.
Salvi should be 3rd.
He's your AL home run king. Why is he batting second?
Exactly. Yeah, Matheny was hated in St. Louis. He's becoming really hated here. I guess it doesn't change.
Getting rubbed the wrong way, this poor man.
It's just, you see the pitching was my biggest worry coming into the season, and you guys knew that.
Oh, yeah.
That was my biggest worry. It hasn't been bad. Besides a few outings from the bullpen, it hasn't been bad. The pitching has been the best part of the team so far. The offense is averaging nearly 7 runners left on base per game. Pathetic.
But the Mets have been averaging like 10, so I feel you. The Mets have been like 5 for their last 40 with runners in scoring position.
You can't let these opportunities go to waste in baseball. Last night, the Royals did not have a runner on base after the 3rd inning.
Wow.
It's frustrating because you see these teams who get runners on base and take advantage of it right away. Royals aren't doing that. And I know they're missing one of their best bats in Hunter Dozier. But Hunter Dozier does not make up for all of that. Yes, is he a big piece of the lineup? Completely, because he is. But he doesn't make up for all of that. And yet, the pitching has been the strongest part, and the Royals didn't have Jacob Junis or Brad Keller. And yet, they just come back. Keller looked good tonight. 5 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, and got the win. You now have your rotation fully healthy. Your bullpen has not looked terrible. He needs to manage it a lot better than what he's doing completely. But that's easy stuff that goes along the way, strategy and stuff like that. Just get the offense there, and I think there will be an upgrade when Dozier comes back, but he doesn't do all that. I think the one thing that has killed the Royals bullpen, though, is the way he is managing the 3 closers that the Royals have in Kennedy, Holland, and Rosenthal. What was another aspect that made the Royals so great in 14 and 15? What did they have?
Bullpen.
A 3-headed monster of HDH. Herrera, Davis, Holland.
Yep.
Why not make a brand new one? Kennedy, Rosenthal, Holland. Hello? It's right there. It's right there. Right under your nose. Take it. And you can do any mix with that. If you wanted to, you could put Rosenthal in the 7th because Herrera was perfect at that role because he threw 100 miles an hour. Rosenthal can do that. You can put him there. Put Kennedy in the 8th. Put Holland in the 8th. Kennedy was solid last year as a closer. Put him back there. Holland can be a fine setup man. But you can't keep bringing them and using them as middle relief. It doesn't work. No. It does not work. And it's frustrating to watch.
It's like bringing a closer in the 5th inning.
Yeah, you can't do that. Create that new HDH because you have that opportunity right in front of you. Use it. The defense has got to improve. No doubt. There's no way of getting around it. Got to play better on defense. Defense, I've lived by this saying, home runs are for show, defense is for dough. That's how it is. Defense wins you those games. Play better defense than what you're playing. The offense has got to take care of their opportunities when they present themselves. It's frustrating because last night, Royals had Whit Merrifield on 2nd, no outs. He moved to 3rd with 1 out. Strikeout and a pop fly out of the inning. Take care of your opportunities. You don't have to execute on all of them, but at least execute on some. Because the Royals, honestly, should be right around 500 if they would execute. And you know what? The sad part is at 4-10, they're fully not out of the playoff contention because the AL's they've been struggling that much, and the addition of new playoff teams this year. Get your opportunities and execute. They've been great at getting runners on base. Steal. Use your speed. Butt them over. Go back to what made Royals baseball successful. That is what they need to do first. But I will say this. The best thing that I've seen so far, the potential that the fans have seen from Brady Singer and Chris Bubich. Singer has had 3 solid starts. Has he given up 4 home runs? Yes. But those are little things that you're going to tweak along the way. I've been impressed with him. He's looked really good. He is actually tied for second in club history for most strikeouts over his first 3 career starts. So you've seen so much potential from him. Last night, Chris Bubich pitched a gem. 6 innings, 2 runs. He gets the loss because the offense didn't give him anything besides 1 run. Pitchers are not going to want to pitch for you if you're not going to give them the run support. Last year, the story was with the Royals. You could score 4 or 5 runs, but you give up 6 or 7. Now, it's the Royals give up 3, 4, 5 runs, can barely put up 2 or 3. And yes, I think that when you're looking at it, Matheny has got to stop moving all these guys around so much. I know he's trying to find that spark, but when Dozier comes back, you can't hit all these guys around. Dozier is going to be a huge upgrade to the shuffle that has been going through the outfield so far. He's not going to make the entire difference because one man does not make the difference. And that's the same way in any sport. It's a team effort. Soler needs to be back where he was successful at cleanup. And honestly, put Dozier at 2 if you want and leave Mondesi at 5 because you've seen him have more success in the middle to bottom of the lineup than at the top. If you want to put Dozier at 2, go right ahead. I'm fine with that. But Matheny has been so willing to move around 3 to 9. How about you start off with moving Soler to where he's most successful? Because with Soler, he's most successful when he's got runners on base. And yes, you got Wynn ahead of him who gets on base a lot. But when you have 2 runners on with Jorge Soler up, look at what he can do. 3 runs right there.
Yeah.
It's just the lineup management, the bullpen management has just been so poor. It's just got to improve. The defense is the first focus. Because guess what? You can put up as many runs as you want. You can focus on your hitting. Your defense has got to win you games. People are like, oh, defense doesn't matter. Are you kidding me? So what? The MVP race does not solely focus on fielding. It's become such a travesty that people just look at the hitting and they go straight to the average, the RBIs, and the home runs. Knowing us too, and all of us, we break it down more than that. And we look at the fielding. Fielding, in my opinion, is just as important or maybe even more important than offense. Play some good defense. The fundamentals. When you're first playing baseball, you're taught how to throw, you're taught how to field, and then hit. That's how I was taught. Go back to the basics and get your fielding down. You gotta walk before you can run, and that's how it goes. Defense before hitting. So the Royals can easily turn this around. Easily. Rotation's healthy. Dozier's not that far from coming back. They just ended a 6-game losing streak tonight, which was huge. String some wins together, and you can see this team fighting and maybe be somewhat near contending for that final wild card spot. Just please do something to improve the defense. The defense is the most critical part of baseball when you want to win. By the way, Brent, that comment, I think, is the best one you've had all night. You want a one-person outcome, go play tennis or golf? That's completely correct. Baseball is so mental because you can't put all of it on your shoulders. You can do what you can do. You have to focus on yourself. Your teammates have to be there. You can't do everything. Help your teammates out. And I think that's what the pitchers are screaming at the offense right now. Please use tonight to score more runs. But knowing the Royals, they might go 4 games without a run after putting up 13 tonight. But it's easy stuff. Just go back to the basics. And then this team could actually come out and get some wins and string some wins together. If they can somehow get 2 out of 3 from the Twins, I will be stoked. Completely stoked. Because the Twins are the best team in the Central. If you can get those wins against the best team in your division, that's good. That's a good start. This season, yeah, 14 games. We're almost a fourth of the way done, but you still have that time to come back. Use it. I'm done now. Sorry, that was way more than 5 minutes.
It was 16, actually.
I made up for the loss of Nick and Marco.
Yeah, well, we're now at an hour. I was hoping to get under an hour. We spent 20 minutes talking about our teams. I find that
It was
amazing.
more than that. Like 20 minutes each.
No, I was like 2 minutes. I really didn't talk that long. It was maybe 2 to 4 minutes. I disagree. It was looking back at the thing when he was talking about the Dodgers and how you can sit next to him at any Dodger game. That was 8:06, and then I finished by talking about Ahmed Rosario with the defense. He said that at 8:10, those 4 minutes. So let's be real here. So we've still got a few things to cover. We're gonna just whip through it. If you've got anything to talk about, Ryan, with just you can say it. But we're going to talk about the standings and then the league leaders, just to provide that weekly update on these things. I mean, National League starting off with the NL East. I mean, nothing to say other than confused. The Marlins are in first place. They're 6-1. They've won 5 in a row. As the Mets hope to crush that tomorrow, let me tell you. The Mets are going to try and come in tomorrow and be like, hey, you guys think you're so good? I'm going to show you. Knowing the Mets, they'll probably get swept. So that wouldn't be a. I'll be texting you guys being like, well, we're about to get swept by the Marlins and be 5-11, and the Marlins are going to be 9-1 with the best record in baseball. Yay! By the numbers, the Marlins technically, because this season is based on winning percentage, the Marlins have the best record in baseball right now at 6-1 with an 857 winning percentage. So the Marlins have been somehow good this season, which is phenomenal for them. They don't have a great team and they're piecing it together, but good for them. They're playing well and they are earning those stripes that they had. So they lead that NL East by a half game over the Braves, who are 9-5. Then the Nationals are in third at 4-5. Phillies are 3-4 and fourth. And guess who's in dead last, baby? New York Mets at 5-8. Woo! At least we're gonna be in first and something. We're gonna be first last. At least I could be excited about something this year. So I move on to the NL Central. And this has been probably one of the biggest surprise. Well, no, I'll lie. This is not the biggest surprise. The Cubs are your NL Central leaders by 4 games. They are 10-4, the only team with a positive record in that division, sitting all the way down there in last with the Pittsburgh Pirates at 3-10, the opposite record. That division has been wonky. I mean, the Brewers are in second. The Reds, who we thought were going to be so good, are all the way down there in fourth. They've lost 3 in a row after being 5-5. They have fallen apart. I mean, I don't know what's happened with them. I don't know what's happened with any of these teams. But, you look at the Cubs, and they are just on fire right now. Lost on opening day, and ever since then, man, they have been so good. I mean, it has just been – no, they didn't lose on opening day. What am I talking about? That was the Kyle Hendricks game. But still, so good and impressive team. Then you go to the NL West. This is where things get spicy. The Colorado Rockies, a team that nobody was talking about this year, are at 9-3, leading that National League West. They are beating the Dodgers by just a half a game, and the Padres, who have been hanging on by a thread, are sitting there in third. So if the season were to end right now, the Rockies would be your division champs by a half a game. It would be insane. And the Diamondbacks are sadly not performing as well as we had anticipated them to be. They're 5-8. But if you got anything to say for the National League, just a little wrap up there, then you can throw that on in before we head to the AL.
Yeah, for me on the National League, I really think that you've seen so much rarity. People wrote off the Cubs, and I think tonight showed that they're not there to stay at that position because of how their pitching really is. The pitching has just been really good so far, but tonight showed Chatwood looked bad. The Royals took him away, just killed him. So what you have to expect is just to see more and more strengths from teams like the Reds. The Reds are hitting their stride. I think they're going to come. They're going to come out of the water, and I think they're going to take that division. I think the Cubs are going to fall apart. That's just me. So the NL West, the Dodgers are going to take it. I think that the Rockies have been extremely surprising, especially because you've seen Arenado not be Arenado at the plate. But Trevor Story's been Trevor Story is putting himself in that conversation to be one of the best shortstops in the league, if not the best.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that conversation, and he's killing it. He has led that team, and it's been terrific to see. But the other thing that I really think about for the NL East, the Braves are going to win it. The Marlins, they've had a terrific start and a shocking start. I think that
like the Orioles last year.
Yeah, it's not going to last. So those are my 2 cents on the National League.
So like Brent said, Brent's been bothering me for the last few days, telling me to be more positive because I've been complaining a lot about the Mets. So he's right. I'll give a little bit of positiveness. Mets are starting a big series now. 3 games against the Marlins, 4 against the Nationals again, then they play the Phillies, Marlins. Opportunity for the Mets to get some wins. Hopefully a week from now, the Mets will be at 500. We can have an opportunity for that this week. Big opportunity for the Mets. I'm hoping. I feel good for them. Once Marcus Stroman comes back, the Mets will be in a better spot. So trying to stay more positive. That is my goal. So move over to the American League. We start off with that AL East, no surprise here. Yankees are winning at 9-3. This is honestly the only division in baseball that is not a surprise other than the AL Central. The American League, well, the National League looks way off, but the American League looks like really normal. I think the thing is, it's possible that the National League's being thrown off by their lack of a DH, so people are just like, whoa, this is weird, which would just be funny, even though that's definitely not what it is. But the AL looks pretty much normal, man. The Yankees lead their division by a good hunk of games. The Orioles are in second. I don't know how that's possible. They've lost 4 in a row and still sit in second. And the Red Sox, who continue to slump. They're 4-8. It's been a tough start to the year for them. A team that was holding on to a possible last, wild card spot is most likely now going to be in a tougher spot. I said it last week. We're going to have a better idea for what the season's going to hold for the rest of the year this week. Next week, obviously, as every week goes on, we'll have a better idea. But I think next week is probably going to be our ultimate. Next week when we look at those standings, we're going to know like what teams are hot, what teams are not, what teams are going to be doing, and what teams will not. And I think you can already say right now the Red Sox don't look good. They look to be a team that's not going to compete. Go to the AL Central, the Minnesota Twins, man, they're looking to defend that title with some power. They're 10-3 right now. They have a 2.5 lead over the White Sox. The White Sox, man, they started off really poorly, but they have come back really, really well. They're 6 for their last 10. It's been a solid stretch for them as they try and push for that Central. And then you look at the AL West, and man, this has been a surprise for me at least. The Athletics leading that division at 9-4. The Astros have fallen off a little bit. They're 4 for their last 10. Not a great stretch. The Athletics have won 6 in a row, which means that they were 3-4 coming into the stretch. They were not anywhere in the top of this division last week, but they are on fire right now. The hottest team in baseball. That is the longest winning streak in baseball right now, right in front of the Miami Marlins. So a big stretch for them. It has been really, really important to keep them right on top of that division, all the way down there at the end at the AL West, or the Texas Rangers, a team we didn't really expect to do well at all. So that's the American League. Ryan, obviously, you've got a little bit to say, then go ahead and say it.
Yes. First off, the Rays have been a shock. I think they're a team that's just starting off on the wrong foot, and I think they're going to bounce back. I think that's going to be the same way with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think these are both teams that are going to end up finishing second in their divisions. They're going to get it together, find their groove, and get going. That's how I feel. The Rays are a team that I think are going to compete with – I think they're going to be a team that competes with the Yankees to get to the Fall Classic. They're that good of a team. They have such a good starting rotation. They have a great bullpen. This team is really good. So they just got to turn around. The Central, the Twins have been terrific. I expected this. I think their pitching staff has gone under the radar, and now it's just showing how good they are. The hitting has been terrific. People thought the loss of C.J. Cron might have an effect, but oh wait, what did they do? Go out and get Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, that works.
That good. So I think the Twins are going to win the division. The White Sox. Everyone thought I was crazy because I said they would get second in the division. They start off rough. They swept the Royals to get back into motion, but you are seeing how good this team is with the power they possess with Grandal, Abreu, Encarnacion, McCann, Robert, Moncada, Jimenez. So many guys. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze.
That's okay. Bless you.
Thank you. So this is a team that I think is just getting started. I think they're going to get second in the division. For the West, I said the Astros were going to get second, and I think that the Athletics have to take advantage of what's going on with the Astros right now, especially with Roberto Osuna, who's done for the year, and Justin Verlander, who might be done for the year. You don't know.
Yeah.
So they got to take advantage before a healthy Verlander comes back and dominates.
Right.
So this is their chance. I think if the Athletics sees this opportunity, they will take that division for sure. I really do think that. So that's how I feel about the AL. Oh, but on the positivity, staying positive with the Royals, I think that they can string some wins together. Just got a lot of maneuvering to do.
Yeah, that's true. Maneuvering is key. So we go over now to the league leaders. We're going to cover average home runs, RBIs, ERA, and strikeouts like we do every week. The first category, batting average. This has been the biggest surprise I think I've ever seen. Your league leader in baseball in batting average right now is Donovan Solano of the San Francisco Giants, batting .465 in 43 at-bats. That's a lot of at-bats. It's not like he's played half the season, not like he hasn't had as many at-bats as he could. That's a lot of at-bats for this year. The average at-bats for this season, the highest at-bats we have seen from anybody this year is 58 from Salvador Perez. But that's 58 at-bats. This is only 15 less, and he's batting .465. I just don't get it. This is a guy who used to be on the Marlins, couldn't hit for his life. And now here he is, and he's the Giants' best hitter. I mean, where did this come from? He had a massive home run earlier in the week to give the Giants a big comeback win. It was huge for them, and it was definitely huge for him. The home runs, Aaron Judge leading all of baseball with 7 home runs. Nick Castellanos in second with 6. Nick Castellanos, man, he's picking up with those Reds. And then Colin Moran, yet again, he's still in the top with 5 home runs. I mean, he was off to a hot start in the home run category, so it's not really a big surprise, but he is really off to a really good start. And next week, we'll probably have a little bit more difference between these. And then the RBIs, Aaron Judge has just been RBI king this season with 7 home runs. There's no way you're not going to have so many. He's got 17 on the year. That is 2 over anybody in his league and 3 over anyone in baseball. Oh, National League side. That's what I meant. But he has been killing it. And Aaron Judge has been such a dominant force in all of baseball. Then we go over the pitcher's side. Lance Lynn leads baseball with an ERA of .49. Okay. I don't think anyone thought that was going to happen. Lance Lynn has become what?
Hey, you're forgetting about someone. Brad Keller has a 0.00 ERA. He went 5 scoreless tonight in his debut.
He doesn't qualify.
In my book, he qualifies.
He doesn't qualify. Lance Lynn, .49 ERA. I mean, this guy's become the ace of the Rangers with Kluber out. So this is a big deal for them. Good for the Rangers. They really needed that. And then go over to the strikeouts. The strikeout king from this year, Shane Bieber, is on pace to have so many strikeouts this season with 35. And look who's in second. The guy who I said in our very first season predictions show, Sonny Gray. I said Sonny Gray is going to have an amazing year this year, and look at what he's doing. He is having a career year right now. A .96 ERA for Sonny Gray. This guy has been dominant at the start of this season. So amazing to see him pitching so well. Obviously, such a great guy, and that Reds rotation really looks good early on in the year this year. So those are your league leaders, Ryan. I know you're AFK at the moment, but there you are. Got anything in particular to talk about with those league leaders? I know there's some interesting stuff there.
I predicted Sonny Gray to have a bounce back year, and he's pitching really well. I really like what Sonny Gray's doing. Shane Bieber's been a beast.
Yeah.
I think
Cy Young prediction right here. I made it. I called it first. He's going.
Shane Bieber at the beginning, and you know that I did.
You did. You changed it. You changed it in the one that mattered. That's what really matters.
Rude. but but honestly, those two have just been really good. I expected a lot from Bieber, and he's really showing that. And I expected Syndergaard to have a bounce back here, and he is. The Reds' rotation is starting to hit their stride. Bauer had 7 shutout innings against the Tigers in their doubleheader. They're starting to really hit their stride. Like I said, I think they're going to come back and win the division. But Judge on a tear, I think he's only going to continue to do that. Castellanos starting to hit. I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I think he's still going to be a key piece of that offense. Donovan Solano. What?
Yeah.
I know. He couldn't hit with the Marlins, and now he's killing the ball. I'm glad he's hitting. I am. But I don't know. It's kind of shocking.
It really is.
But I'm glad to see that he's having some success. So it's nice to see. And I think that if he can continue this, he could be a guy for them for years to come. So that's good to see. Overall, these league leaders aren't that shocking to me, besides Solano and Lance Lynn that I didn't touch. Lance Lynn is really having that next man up mentality completely, especially with losing their ace who's a former Cy Young Award winner. So he's really doing that. The Rangers are not going to compete this year. We expected them to be in at least contention for that wild card spot, but losing Kluber kills them. But Lance Lynn is really doing a great job filling that void that they needed to fill with the loss of Kluber. So I really like what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, very solid start to the season. And Brent said, let's see some whip. So we're going to add whip to the record, to the list from now on. So top of the whip leaders, Trevor Bauer with a .53 whip. That is an insane whip. To me, the number I look at when I look at pitchers is whip. The number I look at for hitters is I look at batting average because and home runs combined.
For me, on batters, I look at whip for pitchers. I look at on-base percentage.
Yeah, that's a good one too. On-base percentage is obviously a really good one.
The ability, especially with how hitters have become so anxious and wanting to crush the ball, if you can keep your eye on it and get a walk, I think that says a lot, especially now in today's game.
Yeah. But whip to me is the most important category for pitchers. And Trevor Bauer.
Insane. I think Trevor Bauer is really hitting his stride. I think, like I said, that outing against Detroit, terrific. He and Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo, a terrific trio in that rotation. I really like Trevor Bauer. He's a guy who, he talks a lot and has a temper, but he backs it up with his terrific ability. I really like Trevor Bauer. I've always been a fan of him, even though he was on the Indians. I just think that he's really finding his stride in his new environment. I'm glad to see that he is just dominating like he was with the Indians.
And that is he's not the only one in first. Zach Plesac of the Indians shares that with him with a .53 whip as well. So very interesting name to see up there, a guy who we didn't even see in the top in the ERA or strikeouts. So that's why you can't always rely on ERA or strikeouts, not always necessarily the pitcher's fault when it comes to getting those runs in. So that brings us to the last topic of the day. Those are the hitter and pitcher of the week. I just want to go for them. We'll just say it, and the stats we think are important, and then we'll go on because we're getting deep into this for a 2-person podcast. So hitter of the week for me, I don't think there's any question. It's got to be Aaron Judge. I mean, 6 home runs, 14 RBIs. And I mean, for me, I always pick out the things that really matter, the statistics that are popping off for me. It's the reason why I didn't pick batting average, because I didn't think it was as important. But 6 home runs, 14 RBIs in a week. 1 week, 14 RBIs. That's an average of 2 RBIs a day. And the big number is that slugging percentage. He has a 1.069 slugging. The highest slugging percentage last year was like 640. He is at 1,000 at the beginning of this season. Aaron Judge is simply mashing the ball. So who do you got for your hitter of the week?
For me, we just talked about him. Nick Castellanos, really starting to hit his stride. He had 2 home runs against the Tigers. He's really starting to get it going. He started off slow, but you expect that adjusting to a new environment, especially coming off a long hiatus. I really like what he's doing at the plate. And I think that he's a guy that you have to watch out for, who can really take that home run title, even though people don't really think about it, because you see guys like Bellinger and like Betts and all these guys that can really hit really well. But I really like what Castellanos is doing. He's become a true power hitter since he was even in Detroit. And I really like what he's been doing. He's hit 4 home runs. He has been hitting 4 home runs over the past 6 games, I think it's been. So he's been really good so far, and I think he's only going to keep going. So let's move on to your pitcher of the week.
Oh, yeah, pitcher of the week for me, Shane Bieber. There are so many pitchers to choose from, but I didn't pick Bieber last week, so I had to go for him this week. 16 innings pitched in last week, 21 strikeouts in 2 starts. That's amazing. A 1.15 ERA, but more importantly, that .64 whip. Honestly, the biggest number for me there are those strikeouts. So 21 strikeouts in 2 starts is insane. Shane Bieber is officially the ace of the Cleveland Indians. If there wasn't any doubt about it before, there should be none now. This guy is your ace of the AL Central, honestly, if you ask me. And he's on his way to be the ace of the American League this year. But that's my pitcher of the week.
Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray, like I said, expected him to bounce back, and look what he's done. Right now, he's 3-0, a .96 ERA, second in strikeouts, terrific. Past week, 2-0 with 19 strikeouts. I just want to make sure I read that right. And only 2 walks. That's a terrific ratio. And then looking at it, he's given up 5 hits and 1 run over those 2 starts. He's been really good. And people thought he was going to get overshadowed by Trevor Bauer and Luis Castillo. He's staying right there at that ace spot, and he's been terrific. He is a dark horse for that Cy Young Award in the NL.
And such a motivational story from him, being the ace of the Athletics for a few years, getting traded to the Yankees in a big trade, and then he fell off. I mean, he couldn't pitch. Everyone thought his career was over. He goes over. I forgot who he played with last year.
That was the pressure of being with the Yankees. And if you don't perform with a Yankee uniform, you're hated in all of New York.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like Mets fans. Just saying. But
even with Mets fans, we when you see him not pitching well, I mean, when you don't play well in New York, you're going to get disliked anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad he's really finding his stride and getting back to where he's really one of those top pitchers. I really like it. And I think him sticking with it, and that mental aspect got to him, but him sticking with it shows a lot about his grit and his grinding to get to the point to where he is now.
Yeah, such a motivational attitude for Sonny Gray. Really makes you feel like you can accomplish anything in the sport of baseball. So that'll do it for season 2, episode number 5. We had a good one, just me and Ryan. The first time anyone's missed a podcast this year too. So that's good for you. You've been at every single one. You were the only one. So you can.
We've already done it.
We'll see. We will see your streak. Let's see how long the streak goes. You were at 5 straight.
I'm not missing any of them.
All right. We'll see. We've got to find out when our show is going to be for the fall, because I'm
messaging to Rayleigh. They're going to decide within the next week or two into school. We'll find out.
Yeah, because I can't do weekends at all. Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday can't happen. So we're gonna have to do it on either Monday through Thursday, because I'm gonna be.
I put in our sheet. I think we're gonna be Tuesdays. So watch out for that on Blaze Radio.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And my
StreamYard and on YouTube, and we're killing it.
My goal is to continue with the StreamYard YouTubing at the same time, so that you can see our faces while we do it. And then this way we don't have to save the podcast. So that is my goal, to see how that'll work out. Obviously, it's going to be a unique experience, and it'll take some time to get used to.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're excited for it. Going to be a great year. Baseball's going. We're going. Baseball's good. I'm happy. The Mets aren't playing so well, but
you can't be happy. Baseball's back. America's greatest pastime is back.
Oh, yeah, baby. We are excited. We are here. We're ready to go. 2020 baseball is live and hot right now. So make sure you go check it out. Obviously, you can watch it on any platform. MLB TV. Go get it. Go get it. You're missing out on nothing from watching that, because you're missing out on everything if you're not. So make sure you go check it out. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back here next week. Again, the days are up in the air. We're just going to have to post it whenever. We really appreciate having everybody here. Next time we're here, Nick will be in Arizona. Ryan will be here sometime soon. And Marco, I'm sure, will be coming sometime soon as well. So
from the bottom of my heart, dude, I've actually missed you. You're one of the last memories I've had being in
It
Phoenix.
was. It was the last.
So I'm excited to get back.
It was the last memory. You and I going to Blake Shelton, the last public thing I did with many people. It was an amazing time, and we're gonna remember it. We're gonna remember it forever. But yeah, we're wrapping up tonight. Obviously, such an exciting podcast. But I hope you all enjoyed it. We will see you guys all next week. Take care, guys.